Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second module of NM130 DIG 1280, which is audio and video editing. This is Mod 2. I think I mentioned that. 2025, Spring 1, quarter term. And my name is Kim Grable, and I am your instructor. Make sure you can hear me. Um, Last week was a bit of a challenge because I was trying to get the recording to you, and ultimately, some of you were able to see it and interface with it without any effort at all, or very little effort. Some of you were not able to. So it will be posted, as I mentioned earlier, in an announcement in my YouTube channel feed, as well as here in Teams and in an announcement in Blackboard. So hopefully that will cover everything that's needed. Uh, I'm hoping. This week you're going to be shifting gears just a bit, and you're going to be talking about the importance of sound and transitions. That's our main topic. But I have some subtopics that I want to cover first, which are breakdowns essentially of what you're going to be doing as well as choosing sound and creating transitions. Do you know what a transition is? A transition in life is things change. Sometimes it's a very sudden, unexpected change, like you get fired from a job, or something necessarily not bad, but I mean, you could win the lottery. um, I know, we all hope. Um, but it's a transition. It's a movement from the way things are moving right along in your life, let's say, and then suddenly there's a tornado and your roof comes off, or you have an accident, mm. or it doesn't again necessarily have to be a negative, but a transition is a definitive change. And transitions in video and film are very, very important. Um, and I want to show you a few a little later, basically, to give you the idea of what's a transition and what kind of impact a transition can have on the uh, on the film that you're producing or the video. Uh, we need to talk first about shot logs or shot lists. You have three in your Teams folder. Let me see if I can pull that up. Every time I try to pull it up, it acts weird. So, but basically, I think it's a Word document, a Excel document, and then just a PDF that you can add information about each and every shot or each and every clip in your collection of clips that make a video. Okay. You don't want to have to go through this shot list more than once because it's tedious and it's tiresome and it goes very slowly at times. But if you don't do this, you're really not going to know that well what you have relative to film or clips, video clips. So think of the shot log or the shot sheet, list, whatever you want to call it, as a roadmap, something to reference as the film is edited and the story is created. And you'll learn pretty quickly that if you give enough information in your descriptions and your comments, editing a video becomes very, very easy because you have, first of all, you have to look at the clip to identify it. Then you have to determine how many takes there are. Are there two versions of the same take? If so, you really need to notate that. And also the duration. If you've got a 30-second, for instance, a 30-second duration clip, and your video is 45 seconds, then there's a real good chance that this 30-second clip is either going to be cut up or you're just going to be using a portion of it and then interfacing with more of the other clips that you have. Um, Again, you have to think in terms of what is the most impact for your clip or for your video. If, for instance, this person picks up the phone, it's an over the shoulder, mostly good shot, but it's 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So that tells you alone that it may be good, but you have to probably really trim it down and just clip out the things you want to use. Don't feel obligated to use the entire clip. You won't. Very rarely will you do that because it's just, you don't need that much. Um, okay, so to log a video, and I'm just sort of repeating what I've already told you, you're going to watch the footage in each of your imported footage pieces and write down what you see. Remember anything that might key a memory or whether or not it's a good shot. Does it have bad sound, good sound? What's the quality of the footage? Is it in focus? Does it have a good exposure of light? Is the camera steady? Uh, what kind of angle is the camera? How long is the shot? So there's a lot to take into consideration as you build and import your footage. So you have, first of all, the assignment of downloading and logging the cutting on action footage. Now, I will tell you, uh, the cutting on action footage is not that compelling. You will not get caught up in it because it's so interesting. It's not very interesting. It's basically a guy in an office and he checks his watch and, oh, it's time for lunch. So he jumps up and he grabs his phone, turns off the light, walks down the hallway, out the door, walks all the way to his car, and reaches in his pocket, and he forgot his key. So that's the basically that's the entire uh, imported clips that you're going to be working with. Now, you're not going to be actually putting this together until next week, module 3. Okay. But this week, module 2, you want to download and log the cutting on action footage, excuse me. You're also going to have an assignment editing video to a theme. And this is very much like what you did last week or the first week where uh, you had some still image edits. Do you remember that? You downloaded like a public domain. Uh, I think there were 6 stills that you downloaded, and then you added them sequentially to create the editing video to a theme. Your theme, I believe, was color and the transitions of color. This, again, will be very similar, except it's part 2 of that first edit video. This time you will be expanding upon the still image editing assignment in Mod 1. You'll download a public domain video and you'll use a music track. Now, where can you get public domain videos? Um, you can get them from Pexels, Pexels, Instabay. You can do a Google search for Creative Commons. Creative Commons is I guess you'd call it the clearinghouse for sounds, film, stills, that kind of thing, creative art and sound that have moved out of copyright stage. Recently, oh, probably in the last few years, Mickey Mouse was finally copyright free. So now you can use him without having to pay the people who initiated him uh, a use fee. He is out of copyright and he is free to use. A lot of famous works are free to use now. One thing that I found pretty interesting when I was looking through some Creative Commons books and videos and that kind of thing, uh, and especially music tracks, is after 50 years or thereabouts, some are 75, it meaning the creative uh, object, whatever it may be, falls out of copyright protection and anyone can use it. And so what's happening is a lot of people are going and getting, for instance, like Charles Dickens' books or Mark Twain, and they're republishing them under their not their name, but under Mark Twain, but edited by, and then they put their name, and they sell them on Amazon, and it's pretty interesting. They don't have to write a word. Uh, some of them use their own illustrations, and that's kind of interesting. But Creative Commons is a good place to go to look for source material. Pixels, Instabay, do a Google check on copyright-free video clips and copyright-free music. Now, you're going to edit your video if it's 6 little bits of video, whatever it happens to be. But you're going to make an exactly 20-second video, and you're going to be using video clips rather than still images like you used in the first uh, module. Do you remember that? Okay. You're also going to need a music track. So again, I'll point you to some places to go to find music tracks. There are several places you can go. Again, you've got to look for copyright free or look in Creative Commons for copyright, essentially copyright that has expired. video from a public domain or clearinghouse, stockhouse at 1080p. Is the theme obvious? Well, what's your theme going to be? For instance, several I've had in the past. A lot of flowers, a lot of animals. One particularly really interesting piece was the sounds. There was no real music, but it was the sounds of the animals walking through whatever their native, environments were. Like there was a tiger, there was a lion, there was a road runner that, he goes really fast. Tigers and lions kind of, they go very slow, but they have a heavy uh, sound to their steps. Elephant was almost like a volcano or an earthquake, and so on. And she chose 6 animals that had very distinctive sounds to their movement. And it was fascinating because not only you got caught up in, for about 3 to 5 seconds with the sound of the tiger, and you don't really see the whole tiger, you just see the paws, PAWS, and so you get caught up with, oh, wonder what kind of animal she's going to use next. And she would usually go from heavy or foreboding to very light and carefree to back to foreboding and that kind of thing. So there was a real method to what she was doing. A lot of other videos are clips from different colorizations of nature, from a very, bright green, brand new spring uh, plant growth, and then it fades down to what you see on the sixth piece, or on the sixth video, right before winter, sets in. Things are turning brown and essentially dying. So there was new birth of nature, and then the sixth piece or the fifth piece, however many you've chosen to use, is the end of the spring. um, Remember, you don't pay music, or excuse me, you don't pay money for either music tracks or a video from a public domain. So keep that in mind. It's very, very important. Google has a collection that's pretty good. A lot of other outlets like that have collections of sounds um, and video. Uh, if you're having trouble finding anything, let me know and I'll send you a list. I may go ahead and just put together a list anyway and then just post it for everybody. But this is the editing video to a theme, the second part of what you started at the beginning of class. Module 2 and the course project. Um, Hopefully you've begun or you have already imported all of your stills and your video, your sound, whatever you have to import for the main course project, the Kevin Ultramarathoner project. So what you're doing is, in addition to essentially building a repository for all your clips, uh, you're going to be initiating and using the project panel. And it has, and we've talked about this, we talked about it last week, it has those folders that are called bins. And this is where you want to really stay organized. Choose the bins, retitle them, or set everything up exactly like they are uh, in the imported clips and video clips, stills, and music, and put them in respective bins. This is what the panel looks like after you start importing. Okay, you have the panel menu, which is a little hamburger menu. And then you have column headings that are important, that are frame rate and where your media starts. Okay. And the reason these are important is obviously frame rates and uh, where the sound starts. Is it 2 minutes? Is it 2 seconds? Is it whatever? You know what I'm saying? You've also got some film here. MP4 indicates finished video. Of course, you can edit it and make some changes, but that's what an MP4 is. Also, an MOV is a finished video clip. Automate to sequence. We'll talk about that in just a second. Here's your new item. Here's a new bin. You're going to use this section a lot. There's your zoom. If you need to make this larger so you can see it, it's a slider and you can just slide it over back and forth as you need it. I would stay away from the freeform view only because I think if you've got a setup similar to this one that I've done just as a screenshot for you, uh, it's easier to understand what things are. That's a WAV file, and you know a WAV file, or you do now, is a sound file. AI file, what would that be? It would be a still image, or it could be a graphic. MP4, MP4, these are all video clips. This is probably also a video clip. First sequence, we'll talk about sequences here in a minute. And if you want a closer look at any of the imported clips, then choose the preview area, and then you can toggle back and forth and look from the project window to the panel, this main panel here. You can go back and forth, back and forth. Now, you're going to have to look at most of these clips, if not all of them, one at a time, so you can get a feel for how to build your shot list. You know, horse running across the desert, that kind of thing. It's got to have some kind of descriptive uh, phrase, so it'll be easy for you to pull it out and use it if you need to. Now, if you want to toggle between seeing this project panel up here and seeing it full screen, like this cutaway, all you have to do is hover over the panel and press the accent grave key. Do you know where that is? I'm trying to look for it. I have a Premiere keyboard. It's right under Escape up at the top left. Okay. And if you don't have a accent grave key on your keyboard, then you can double click the panel name and it will show you that it will toggle back and forth for you. So remember that. It will just help you move about a lot faster. When you select a clip, the preview area shows you several kinds of useful information that you don't necessarily have to watch everything. For instance, you've got media start, media end, and the duration. How long are the clips? And I would definitely put this, because if you don't, then you're not going to know how long your clips are. And remember, you've got to build a 2 to 3 minute video, finished video. So knowing the start and the end and how long the duration is will help considerably, as will frame rates. If you're not sure that the audio one is a sound file, this will tell you. If it's hertz or megahertz, it's sound. If it's frames per second, it's probably video. In fact, it would have to be video. Okay? All right. So that will help you, I hope, write good descriptions in your shot log. And they look to some degree like this. You have a selection of 3. I think I mentioned that earlier. You've got a Word format, an Excel format, and a PDF that you can just write in. So, and remember, these are in your, let me see if I can pull them up for you. Let's go over here. Here's your files. Module 2. Here's your shot lists. There's the Word, the PDF, and the Excel. And then if you'll look in here, your cut on action original footage is right in here. And you're going to want to go ahead and download that and make sure it's imported as a new project so that you can work on it as far as editing it next week. Okay? You're not going to edit this week. You're going to edit next week. You're just prepping now, essentially. Okay, so let's see where we are. These are just some informational directions for, I believe this is cutting, I believe it is, the cutting on action. Also, remember, if you haven't imported all of your ultra marathon clips, you're going to have a shot log for those as well. Here are some links and some places that you can go to get video and audio clips. Okay. Finished video, as we've said, is 20 seconds long. Use a minimum of 5 video clips, max of 10. You can go to Pixabay, Pexels.com. You can also go to videasy.com or pond5.com. Do not use Apple because they say they'll give you free stock images, the 10, but to get those 10, they want you to fill out a form giving them a credit card number, and you do not want to do that unless you just have money you want to give them. Now, on music tracks, freemusicarchive.com. SoundCloud is actually really pretty good. Incompetech.com, never used it, or other sites with Creative Commons licensed music. And don't negate the Creative Commons, because you'll find some interesting music clips in there. So before you begin editing, watch the video tutorial in the Blackboard text that you have, and just watch it before you begin. You don't have to, but I think it will help you uh, as far as finishing this up. Okay, so log the course project video. We've talked about all of that. Let's go to locating music for your course project. Now, thing one that you've got to remember is this music is going to be accompanying the video and the stills of Kevin, the ultra marathoner. And I told you a little bit about him last week, but he's written a book and he's also making this uh, like 2 to 3 minute video. Um, and I don't know where he would play it or how he would market it, but it could be very helpful to other people that are going through similar circumstances. Um, so you've got to log in the course project video if you haven't already. Check your rubric, make sure you're meeting all the requirements, and I'm sure you probably will as long as you follow the shot list. You're going to need to provide at least 3 different music selections. Now, last time I taught this class, I had a student that he thought in his mind, this guy's running all the time, run, 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 run. So he provided 3 marching type music selections, and that was not really appropriate because the act of running has very little to do with what the theme of the video is about. It's about him reinventing himself, finding a way to set aside his addictions and ultimately come out on top as far as being successful. You're going to see something called a B-roll in a lot of the video, and to some degree, but mostly video, stills to some degree, of background shots like uh, the ocean area, the mountains that he, runs through, a lot of location shots. Those are considered B-roll. B-roll just means, hey, I've got a couple of little areas here that I need to fill in. I can't just show him, running this way, then running that way, then this, that. So I want to do a cut in of, like a mountainscape where he's running or the beach where he runs or, and you don't really have to identify these landmarks. It's just part of dressing up and making more compelling the video as a whole. You know, uh, it's much more compelling to see these beautiful shots of nature all around him. Um, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, I think it's, I think it helps the progress and the movement of the videos or of the video. Log the course project video. You're going to need at least 3 different music selections. Don't do marching. You can do some really, very abstract, uh, I don't know, abstract music pieces. They don't have to be about marching or running or addiction or anything. They can just be, they can be part of the B-roll in that they're wonderful or they're very lovely background music. Do you see what I'm saying? play around with it a little bit. What I usually do when I'm having to choose music selections to go along with video, film, and stills is I select, say, a piece of video that I want the audience to really kind of key on or really notice. Something about that 3 to 5 second little clip, and I'll move or I'll put my music selection focused on that little clip, and it seems to help a lot. Um, Try different kinds of music as well. I would not do music that is really, really contemporary. This guy is probably 50 and he's been through a lot, so he's probably not going to be the poster boy for young and vibrant guys who also are addicts. He went through a great deal of hardship before he found an answer. And if you can find audio tracks that can run parallel in your timeline panel, uh, then you can mix, superimpose, uh, create sequences that that are very, very significant to the telling of the story. So keep that in mind. Um, okay, so I want to shift gears for just a second to make sure I cover everything for you. And where are you? Okay. Using Premiere Pro sequences. Sequences are nothing fancy or anything except it has, think of it as individual videos in one project, clips that are different. Uh, you know what I'm saying? You can do the versions of the same video and see which one works out the best, with or without effects, perhaps, something like that. I want to show you also how to break down a large video. Say you want to really use part of it, but not all of the video. Then you can divide it up, cut it up, just not physically, but uh, cut it up by way of nonlinear editing. Now I want to show you just 2 or 3. Let me make sure I have them all here. Sequence, yeah. And also a little bit of what to do with video and audio tracks together. Okay, so let me show you that first. And then a little later in the week, once you get past the importing of these videos, I want to show you just a very quick uh, sequence of transitions or on transitions. And I'll be pulling that from that little booklet that I downloaded for you. But I won't put that in today. I'll add it probably on Wednesday or Thursday. All right, so how to create new sequences.
Hi folks, it's Mike Murphy. Today's quick tip is in Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2022. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a new sequence. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new sequence from scratch. Then I'm going to show you how to create a new sequence using existing video footage. If you're not sure what sequence means, all it's referring to is the timeline that you're going to use to assemble and place all of your footage. The first way to create a new sequence from scratch, meaning that you're going to determine what the settings are, is to come up here to the top menu, go to File, New, and select Sequence. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Command-N on a Mac, Control-N on PC, and that'll bring up the new Sequence dialog box. The first tab is Sequence Presets. There's a whole bunch of cameras here, so if you know what camera you're using, there might be a preset made for you. If it's totally confusing and overwhelming, I would recommend starting with digital SLR. You can see here 1080p. You can just pick the frame rate you want. You can just click OK. And now you have a new sequence or a timeline that you can start assembling and editing your footage. And if you ever want to check or make any changes to your sequence settings, all you have to do is come up to the top menu, go to Sequence, Sequence Settings. You can modify any of the sequence settings. You can also click on the drop down if you want to select a new camera preset. Click Cancel if you didn't make any changes, or click OK to commit the changes, and that will update your sequence on the timeline. The second way to create a new sequence from scratch is down in the project panel. Look to the far right, you'll see this little icon with a folded edge. That's the new item icon. If you just click on that, at the very top you will see Sequence. Just click that. That's going to open up the same new sequence dialog box. You can select a preset, or you can manually enter in the settings. You can give your sequence a name down here. Click OK, and that will create a new sequence from scratch. And to create a new sequence with the exact same settings and properties as your existing footage. So if you want your sequence to have the same frame rate, the same dimensions, all you have to do is select your existing footage. You can just simply drag it right onto an empty timeline. And if you look in the project panel, you see a new sequence was created with the exact same settings. You can also check in the top Sequence Settings to check all of the settings and make any changes as necessary. You can also create a new sequence from existing footage by selecting a clip in the project panel, right-click or control-click, and go to New Sequence from Clip, or you can simply click on the footage and drag it onto the new item icon, let go, and that will automatically create a new sequence with the exact same settings and properties as your footage. And that is how to create new sequences in Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2022. My name is Mike Murphy. Cheers.
Okay, so you've actually seen how to do sequences. You saw it last week, but I wasn't sure if it really impacted you at all because this was all so new. So I wanted to just make sure and play that again. And you can always go back and replay this if you need to. So how do you rename sequences? This is very important because it has to do with workflow. You might be nesting clips, which is basically just putting the several clips all together as one. You probably will be using individual clips more often than nesting. But I want to show you how to rename and then insert sequences as clips or nested. We had a video last week, the very last video I played for you with the skateboarders, and he gave you a lot of good information. Now, if it would be helpful to you, I can start putting hard copies of the presentations for you that you can download if you think you would like to have them. Just let me know. Give me just a quick email or a message and say, yeah. Send me hard copies or send me. I'd just like to see the slides, and then I can go back and play certain parts again if I want to. All right, so rename sequences.
Hey folks, it's Mike Murphy. Today's quick tip is an Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2019. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to rename sequences. Sequences you'll find here in the timeline in these little tabs here. You can see currently the names of these sequences aren't very user-friendly. IMG_53452, IMG5331. So when you drag in footage to create a sequence like this, you see it creates a sequence. The name of the sequence is going to be whatever the footage name is. To rename the sequences so these tabs actually make more sense to you and you know what you're working with, you don't change the name over here in the timeline, you change it over here in the project bin. All you need to do is select any of the sequences. You can tell a sequence by this little blue icon. If you hover over it, you can see it says sequence. If you go into list view, if you prefer working in list view, you'll see the icon of this little sequencing here. Just select the sequence you want and you can right click on it and choose rename, or the easy way is just simply double click on it. Now you see here I have the option to change the name. I'm going to change this to sequence 1. That's going to be this first one here. And you watch, as soon as I hit enter or return, it's going to jump to the next one so I can easily change all the sequences in a row. I'm going to hit enter, change the name, turn that to sequence 2, hit enter. Pretty cool. Sequence 3, hit enter. And then this one's sequence 4. And if they go out of order, all you need to do is simply drag them into the place you want. So I've got sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3, and sequence 4. So if you want to change the sequence name over here in the timeline, just find it over here in the bin by looking for that little blue icon, double click on the name of it, change the title, hit enter or return, and you'll see it changes over here in the timeline. My name is Mike Murphy. That is your quick tip in Adobe Premiere Pro. Cheers.
Okay, and then finally, how do you insert sequences? And then we'll talk about video and audio expanding and minimizing. We did talk about that last week as well, but I want to make sure you know how to do that because you'll be doing a lot of that as you build your course project video.
Hi folks, it's Mike Murphy. Today's quick tip is an Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2019. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to move a sequence into another sequence, either as individual clips or as nested clips. So I have two sequences open. I have sequence 1 on top, and I have sequence 2 on the bottom. And this is called a pancake or a stacked timeline. I'll leave a link in the description to a tutorial on how to create this. Let's say you're done editing sequence 2 and you want to add it to sequence 1. For that, all you need to do is come over here to the project bin, select sequence 2, and drag it onto the timeline of sequence 1. You can see here that all of the individual clips came. So everything you see down here in the sequence 2 timeline has gone to the sequence 1 timeline. And if you want to insert or overwrite a sequence into another sequence as a nested clip, all you need to do is click on this little icon right here. You see if I hover over it, it says insert and overwrite sequences as nests or individual clips. So I just showed you how to do individual clips. Now when I click on this and I take sequence 2 and drag it onto the timeline of sequence 1, you can see here it's going to come in as a nice, neat, nested clip. And if you ever need to edit a nested clip, just simply double click on it and it'll open up all the individual clips. So the recap. This little icon right here allows you to insert and overwrite sequences into each other as either nests or individual clips. So with it toggled off, if you drag a sequence onto another sequence, it's going to bring it in with the individual clips. Once you toggle this on, when it turns blue, when you drag a sequence onto another sequence, it's going to bring it in as a nice, neat, nested clip. And if you ever need to edit a nested clip, all you need to do is simply double click on it and it'll open up so you can edit the individual clips. My name is Mike Murphy. That is your quick tip in Adobe Premiere Pro. Cheers.
Okay, and then finally, expanding and minimizing your video and audio tracks. You may need this for the assignment of adding 6 clips with different changes. You remember, I think it's the second part of your of the work that you're going to be doing for module 2. So you may be pulling in and out different clips.
Hey folks, it's Mike Murphy. Today's quick
help.
tip is an Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2019. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the keyboard shortcuts to expand and minimize both the video and the audio tracks in your timeline. If you look to the far right of your timeline, there are these sliders over here that can use to expand and minimize both the video and the audio tracks, but they're kind of confusing to use. The first thing you want to do is select the timeline panel. You can tell it's selected when you see the blue bounding box around it. To expand or minimize the height of the video tracks only on your timeline, I'm going to press the Command key on a Mac, Control on a PC, and tap on the plus or the equal key. So I have my hand on the Command key, and I'm going to tap on the plus. You can see that the video tracks are expanding. If I want to go the other direction, I'm going to tap on the minus key with my hand on the Command or Control. If you're on a PC, you can see I can go up in height or down. So that's the video tracks only. Press the Command key. And to expand or minimize the audio tracks only, I'm going to press the Option key on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and do the same thing. Tap on the plus or the equal. It's going to expand the audio tracks. You can see that the video tracks are not affected at all. I'm going to go the other direction. I have my hand on the Option key, and I'm tapping on the minus key. And if you want to expand both the video and the audio tracks at the same time, press the Shift key, then tap on the plus or the equal key, and you will expand both the video and the audio tracks. If you want to minimize both the video and audio tracks, hold the Shift key again and tap on the minus key. My name is Mike Murphy, and that is your quick tip in Adobe Premiere Pro. Cheers.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up what you're going to be doing this week. Again, let me just kind of go through what you're doing. You are editing video to a theme. You're going to download and log cutting on action footage. You should have already logged the course project video, but if you haven't, and it's understandable if you haven't because there were a lot of delays with the film, then this week is when you want to go ahead and do that. Also, this week, go in and start looking for music. You don't have to make just set in stone decisions yet, but I would grab at least 3 or 4, that are possibles. You also have a paper that you're going to write about what you're choosing, how you're choosing your videos and your audio clips. And then finally, after locating music, there's a live classroom question, and all you have to do is answer it. I think the question is basically name 2 different formats for an audio file, like WAV, AIFF, MP3. Those are the 3 main ones. If you have trouble finding that, then let me know and I can certainly help you with that. All right. A little later, like I said, in the week, I want to show you a transition video that I think will help you a lot as far as making plans to make transitions for your primary course project, which is, of course, the ultra marathon. So that's it. Hopefully this will work for everyone. I will post it in my YouTube, in Blackboard as an announcement, and of course in the Teams folder. So have a good afternoon, and we will talk again soon. Thanks, everybody.